Let's take a closer look at the trade deal between the EU and the United States. And joining us to discuss is Jesus Salas, an associate professor of finance at Lehigh University. Thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you for having me.
First, I'd like to get your reaction to this deal. France sees it as a capitulation. Spain also not that happy, while other countries like Italy and Germany were willing to accept the deal. So I'd like to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, the key here is that everybody's going to be worse off, right? So even if some may think that, some people are going to be better off and some people are going to be worse off, maybe the U.S. won and Europe lost, in the end, everybody is going to be worse off. Americans are going to be worse off. Europeans are going to be worse off. And I think it is very possible that this was the best deal that the Europeans could have gotten.
What would you say, and we heard a little bit about it, are the main terms of this new trade deal? I mean, you said everyone's worse off, but is there anything that any of the sides gain on paper?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see that some companies are going to be benefiting in a bit surprising ways. I think, for example, Airbus, I think, is going to be better off because aircraft parts are going to be exempted. Certain chemicals are going to be exempted from tariffs. Semiconductors, agricultural products. Again, these are not, major products that are exported from the European Union, but there are certainly some firms that are going to be better off in Europe.
How about this deal in terms of its potential economic impact on transatlantic trade flows? Or really, is this signing the lesser of two evils for the European Union? And as some have mentioned, provide some stability, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest benefit from here, right? That there's going to be more certainty about tariffs. And I think many companies are going to appreciate that. There was stockpiling happening. There were, companies trying to figure out if they should, bring things to the U.S. now, whether they should wait, whether they should shift manufacturing. The uncertainty was very problematic for everybody. It's certainly better than the 20% that had been previously imposed on Liberation Day, better than the 30% that was threatened a few weeks ago, better than the 50% that Trump had threatened. And again, this trade war just really, really weighed on everybody, consumers, companies, governments. It was just a really, really big weight on everybody. And so I think there's a little bit of relief. You notice markets didn't actually go up that much. They almost just assumed that this was the ultimate result. So it's just, relief is really the main consequence.
You mentioned some sectors that are somewhat okay with this deal, but who are the real losers here?
U.S. consumers are obviously going to lose. They're going to pay more for cars. They're going to pay more for, so pharmaceuticals. Ireland in particular is going to be hurt. They produce a lot of pharmaceuticals that are shipped to the U.S. Some of those are by U.S. pharmaceuticals, which is ironic here. There are certainly European pharmaceutical companies that are going to be hurt, but U.S. pharmaceutical companies are going to be hurt pretty heavily. The Irish economy is going to be hurt significantly. It could be a 0.5 to 1% drop in GDP as a result of this. So there were some questions as to what was going to happen to pharmaceuticals. It seems right now that pharmaceuticals will get hit by this 15% tariff, and so that's quite a big negative for consumers and for corporations.
So for everyday people, consumers, how soon before they start to see the impact? Because there are some countries in the EU who are not so excited. Potentially, they could drag their feet on signing on to this.
Yeah, I mean, so this is a tentative agreement. There's no signatures on this. Trump could very much just change his mind tomorrow. There are still questions as to whether the EU can still negotiate some additional exemptions. There's questions, for example, on wine. We don't really know what the tariffs are going to be on wine products and on, it's the same way the other way around, U.S. alcoholic drinks coming to the EU. There's still some uncertainty, and so it is possible that maybe this is still not finished, and it could still take a couple of months before, the tariffs are imposed and before consumers are actually going to see them. In addition, there's also the possibility that pharmaceuticals could eat some of the tariffs, right? So maybe they would just see reduced profits, and consumers might not see the ultimate increase in prices. We saw that with GM absorbing some of the tariffs on cars. They announced a huge loss, and so did Volkswagen. So we could see the same thing with pharmaceuticals. Eventually, they probably would have to increase prices. It would probably, but it could take a year, right, before any of that happens. We really don't know the exact reaction that the companies would take, even when the actual tariffs take effect.
We have about 30 seconds left. I just got to ask you quickly about Donald Trump's meeting with Keir Starmer while in Scotland, building upon the trade deal they struck a few months ago. Anything there that stood out to you?
Yeah, so again, there's still uncertainty with that, right? They haven't finished the details. Something that is interesting there is Rolls-Royce. Their engines got a nice benefit, and this also kind of is related to the exemptions that the EU got. Both Airbus and Rolls-Royce are big donors to the Trump campaign, to Republicans, and so maybe that's why they received the benefits. So that's really interesting.